Are you a student, mentor, or parent that loves robotics? Then you're in the right place. Up-to-date info on all things robotics. This is the RoboZone Podcast with your host, Pete Ekman. The RoboZone Podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world.
Hello and welcome to the 15th episode of the RoboZone Podcast. I cannot believe we have been through 15 episodes, let alone through the end of this season already. I just got back from St. Louis, Missouri for the St. Louis version of the World Championships, and I had an absolute blast. This episode of the RoboZone Podcast is for Tuesday, May 2nd. As I said, I just got back from St. Louis yesterday, and I hope all the teams made it home. There was some really bad weather ripping through Missouri, so I hope all the teams made it home safe, and I hope all the citizens of Missouri are safe tonight. So what we have for you this week, we're going to be talking to some RoboWranglers, believe it or not, and we're going to be talking to Andy Baker from AndyMark. In addition, this episode will be a little bit shorter this week, but I'm allowing for time so that I can interview the winning alliance of the St. Louis Championships. The competition at the St. Louis Championship was very heated, and it was an amazing event. Every team that I saw on every field was wanting to earn that championship for themselves to bring it home to their community. So for anyone who participated in the championship in St. Louis, good job. No matter where you're from or how small your team is or how large your team is, you guys really represented your communities in a very positive and well manner. For those of you that may not have watched or had the chance to be at the St. Louis Championships, the winning alliance of the St. Louis Championship on the Einstein Field was captained by Team 2767, followed by their first pick 2054, the second pick 862, and finally the third pick 1676. For all those teams, get ready for a great interview. We're going to do that next weekend, and then we'll provide it to everyone that wants to listen to it on the podcast. So stay tuned for that. While we are waiting, we are going to hear from the RoboWranglers first. So hi guys, this is RoboZone TV. I have a very exclusive interview. It's not too often we get to interview a team that comes from Texas. You know, we're from Michigan, right? But I have a member of the world famous RoboWranglers with me. So Adrian, give us your full name.
Awesome. My name is Adrian Emerson. I'm the lead teacher for the RoboWranglers, and I started with 148 in 2010. Before that I was with 229 and 191.
So a little bit of history with them.
A little bit of history, yeah. Yep,
so how are you guys doing this weekend so far?
We're doing really well. Yes, a lot of you guys know we rebuilt our entire robot this build season at two regionals, Lone Star North and Las Vegas. We used our entire withholding at both of those events, and we're finally to the point where we feel really, really great about our intake, about our shooter, and we're just doing a little bit of tweaks on auto mode, and then I think we'll be really good.
And what division are you in?
We're in Tesla.
So
yep.
Well, I'm in Curry, and I have one in Archimedes, so awesome. A little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
So do you think the competition is going to get more intense?
Yeah, I think so. I think what we're seeing in divisions right now in quals is definitely a little bit higher caliber than some of the regionals we were seeing. I think it's only going to get better as we get alliances that that choose each other because they complement each other and really show how Steamworks I think was meant to be played, where you have some specialty shooters with some specialty gear robots, and they kind of work together to get the ball bonus, get the gear bonus, and then hopefully all hang at the end and see where it comes out. So I think it's going to be really good this weekend.
Now, St. Louis was more of a scoring fest, right? There was focus more on scoring than it seemed to be that way from what we reviewed and we saw in the finals and that. So do you think that St. Louis is going to be different and that things will end up to be more defense-based?
You know what? I don't know. I think that because St. Louis, more districts feed into St. Louis than fed into Houston, I think that there are a lot of robots here that, have proven robots, that have played a lot of matches, that have decent strategy, that have good drivers that are practiced. And so, I don't know. I actually, in our division, I think I expect to see a lot of offense. Right now I'm not expecting a ton of defense, but I haven't been watching the other divisions, so I'm not exactly sure, what's going on there. But, I think in most recent years on Einstein, with 2015 excluded because obviously we're on different sides of the field, but last year, it was really, from most of the alliances on Einstein, they were going with either 3 cyclers or at least 3 robots trying to score points with not classic defense,
Okay.
robot bashing, there was some ball defense and stuff that was played, but for the most part I thought everybody was scoring, and that kind of seems to be where the trend was going, at least at the regional and district championship level. So I'm excited to see how the game evolves here, but right now, at least in Tesla, I don't know. I don't think we're going to be seeing a ton of defense, at least for a while.
So we cater to everyone that wants to learn about robotics, even people that are just getting used to robotics,
Yeah.
right? So give everyone a little bit of an input on the history of the RoboWranglers.
Sure. RoboWranglers are very lucky. We're an original and sustaining team. So we've been around since 1992, and we started out at Dallas Christian School, which is about an hour away from us, but we were working with, back then it was E-Systems, and they had started a team, and they're from Greenville, so they had started this team with Dallas Christian School. The next year in '93, Greenville High School got involved, and E-Systems changed to Raytheon, which changed to L3, but it's always the same company.
Level.
That's exactly. But they've been our sponsor since we started. Innovation First came on. There was actually Tony and Bob were 2 guys that worked at L3. Decided to start their own company, and they are doing spectacularly well, and they have come on as our sponsor since the beginning of their company as well.
Nice.
And so we've been with Greenville High School for 26 years, like I said, and when I started at Greenville High School in the fall of '09, we had 26 kids on the RoboWranglers, and that was the only students in robotics that we had in the whole district.
Okay.
Right now, we have robotics 5 through 12th grade, and we have 500 students at a district level involved in robotics. So in the past 8 years, we've expanded robotics at our district.
Did you say 500?
Yeah, 500. And we have...
She said 5. 5 with 2 zeros.
Yep, and that's 126 competition robotics teams at our district. That's only 5,000 students. So 500 is pretty big for a district that has 5,000 students.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah, our district is so supportive. They've really embraced robotics as an educational tool. So we have classes, we have electives, we have after-school stuff. It's sensational. I can't imagine working for a better district. They are so supportive.
Wow. So I hope you guys get a championship this weekend. I hope I have a chance for a championship this weekend.
That's right.
If there's
the goal.
anything that you can do to inspire, one of the things that we want to do is we want to inspire new, adults that may watch this and say, hey, I want to start a team. They don't have a team yet.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of input. If you met me for the first time, and we kind of just met for the first time the other day, right? So I'm starting a new team, right? So what would the suggestion that you give me? How would you approach it by starting a new team?
I would say to always remember that the robot is a tool for the goal,
Right.
which is, in my opinion, to have fun, to learn STEM concepts that will help the students and even the adults in their future, careers, college choices, and things like that. And then one of my biggest goals also in the program is to make connections and make friends. So I would say that building a robot is the tool to make all that happen.
Right. Right.
And so it's great. But one of the things we say on the RoboWranglers is winning the championship is the goal, but it's not how we measure success.
Okay.
And so we measure success by, did we have fun? Did we make friends? And did we have a good experience at the events and during the build season? So I think that's the biggest piece of advice. Focus on that kind of stuff, and just use the robot to help with that. So.
Well, Adrian, I want to thank you for taking time. I took you away from your scouting team. You got finished with lunch, and we just went to lunch. So, it's kind of like high school. There's A lunch, B lunch, and C lunch.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you for giving up time from your scouting to come on here and record this. And this is going up today.
Awesome.
And
Well,
I'll send you
thanks
the
so
link
much.
to
Yeah.
it.
Thanks so much for having me.
But this is day two of St. Louis, which is the best championship. We're not saying Houston's not good. We're just saying better here, right? But I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for representing your team very well.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I would like once again to thank Adrian Emerson from Team 148, the RoboWranglers out of Texas, for giving me that interview. She was very gracious. I even got a t-shirt, so the t-shirt shout-outs, in case you're wondering for those teams that gave me a t-shirt, will go with next week's episode. Once I get the Winning Alliance interviewed, we'll put those shout-outs in the 16th episode of the podcast, so be ready for that one. The next interview I have for you guys tonight is with Andy Baker from AndyMark. I got the chance to meet up with Andy while we're at St. Louis. We got a great interview, so all of you should be able to enjoy this. In addition, this kind of segues to what we're going to be covering after the World Championships. We will be covering off-season events, but those are sparse and in between. So what we're going to do is we're going to start recording episodes for those individuals that think about starting a new team or want to know about how a team has started and the successes and failures that they experience by starting a team. So what we want to do is we want to inform those individuals, both students and parents, of what it takes to start a team, what it takes to run a team, and what it takes to build a team for the best position to be successful and to compete at a high rate. So get ready for those episodes. So let's get to the interview with Andy Baker.
Hi, this is Pete Ekman for RoboZone TV and the RoboZone Podcast. Thanks for watching all of our coverage for Worlds. With me, I have Andy Baker from AndyMark, the Andy Baker. Like, there's only one of them, and this is the guy. And he's a great guy. We get along really well. So, welcome, Andy.
Well, thanks, Pete. Actually, I met a kid on a team. His name was Andy Baker. I am not kidding.
So there's two Andy Bakers.
He had two Ks. He had two Ks on his name badge. I took a picture with him. He's pretty cool. I forgot what team he was. I gotta find that guy.
Yeah, we'll find
Seriously.
Look it up. Look it up somewhere. Someone that's watching this will look it up and tell us what team he's on.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
But
so, Andy, tell us a little bit about you and AndyMark.
Thank you. First of all, I'm a 20-year mentor. I'm proud of that more than I'm proud of anything with AndyMark. I've been working with kids on first teams for 20 years. I was formerly on Team 45, and now I'm a mentor on Team 3940, both in the Kokomo area. I run AndyMark. I started it with my former partner, Mark Coors. He retired this past summer.
Okay.
We started in 2004 to get ready for the 2005 season.
Okay.
The first year was pretty slow. We had a few gearboxes. I think we had a battery cable, and we had some maybe an Omni wheel we called the trick wheel. And we did that because we saw the teams back then make new Omni wheels every year. They made new gearboxes every year, and it was kind of hard. It was tough to find the resources to do the CNC machining or the wire EDM cutting or laser cutting or whatever. And some teams have it,
right.
But some teams don't have that kind of resource. I actually caught a call that summer of 2004 from a guy who was a friend of mine on a Hawaiian team. He said, we have a CNC machine here on Oahu, but it's only in Pearl Harbor at the Navy base, and we can only use it once in a while, and it's not predictable.
Right.
So I know your designs. I like the designs the Technocats have. I just want to buy them. So
right.
we said, okay, let's do this. And now, 12 years later, we have 23 employees. No, actually 24 employees.
Wow.
We've got a great facility in Kokomo. We ship international every day. We're a crown supplier to F.I.R.S.T. We do not only a lot of, we're kind of famous for what we do in F.R.S.T.
Okay.
But also, we're an FTC too. All the field components that were on the Cascade effect, the rescue field effect, and also the velocity vortex field. All those components on the field were made by us and supplied worldwide to all the FTC teams.
So you just keep growing and growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
So what do you think about World so far? We're day 3. It's 1:35 Central Standard Time right now. Everyone's coming back from lunch, so we're about halfway through. halfway through the competition?
Well, it's a good event. It's a great event. It's nice to be here in St. Louis. I love the St. Louis facility. We know what to expect here.
Yep.
I think the team's having a good time. The weather's been kind of crappy. I don't know. It's rained a lot. But I think there's some pretty awesome teams here. I think the Midwest and the East and the North, like Ontario, Montreal area, they're well represented here in St. Louis. And it's very, very fierce competition. There's a lot of teams that complain to me. It's like, man, my match schedule is tough. I said, well, you're at World Championships.
Every match is going to be
tough. Every match is tough. So
this isn't kiddie stuff.
Get over it. Yeah. Now this is the second champs. I was down in Houston last week at the Houston champs, and that was amazing in its own right. It was a different facility. It was in the convention center for a while, and then we had Einstein in Minute Maid Park. And there were some interesting things about that. There were some really great things, and there were really troublesome things. Yeah. But I think I've been telling people, I said, this isn't just my opinion, but this is a community. We're going to make Houston work for the next, I think, 3 years is our contract with Houston, as with Detroit now is going to be.
Can't wait for Detroit. Come to Detroit.
So the problems that we see about logistics and timing and security getting into the Minute Maid, all those things, we are part of the solution. Okay. We as a community are part of the solution. We're not here to beat up F.I.R.S.T, beat up Houston or whatever. We're going to make it work. We're going to be positive about this. And we can brainstorm ways to make the situation better. I think we're a pretty darn smart community. We can.
We're the most adaptable community there is, because match to match we have to adapt. If something breaks, we're coming to get parts. If there's a wiring issue, we're rewiring it from match to match. So I don't think you could get any better. Well, I'm a prior military guy, so we like to flip. We pride ourselves on being able to adapt to a situation. But I think this is pretty close. Pretty close. A lot less guns. Unless you're talking about ball shooting into the air and getting into the boiler for this game.
That's right.
But the competition is serious.
And what do engineers do? Engineers fix problems. That's what they do. Whatever kind of engineering they do. So we have issues, just like moving to Detroit. It's not going to be perfect either, but it'll be a wonderful event, and we'll make the best of it in both locations.
So one of the reasons I wanted to have you, and so everyone can see and meet you, is we're going to go a little bit further with the podcast. We're going to start introducing a way or a series of how to start a team. Now, you've started teams. I'm getting ready to start a team, right? I'm already a mentor, but one of the things I wanted to ask you is, how do you go about convincing a school district that they need a team? Because that's the number one. You have to get the buy off there, don't you?
I think that's a key thing. I believe that what a school district needs, they got to have a champion to run the team, first of all.
Yep.
And if you have that person in place, it could be a team mom, it could be a team dad, it could be, in some rare cases, it could be a really energetic, passionate, like senior student. I've seen that work. In some cases. So you need a champion that owns it, that owns that team, owns the initial drive of that team. And I think if a superintendent can get on board with saying, I'm willing to back this team, I'm willing to assign a teacher to the team, or I'm willing to use some of our sources here at the school, be it our facility or maybe some of the corporate folks who are on the school board or whatever, to support the team in a manner that helps them financially just to get started. I think the key is the superintendent, and then the superintendent trickles down from there, principal, being on board with the principal, all the way down to the janitor. There's always allies through the entire organization. I mean, as a football coach, knowing the janitor, knowing who locks the door at night, and that kind of stuff.
They're one of the most valuable people, because how can you get your stuff if you can't get in? But there is one, and I'll add on to that, there's one big group that you need to convince, and that's the school board.
Yeah.
Because the superintendent's going to be held down by what the school board does, but school boards are usually made up of some parents, depending on what the consistent or the makeup of that board is. But if you can get the superintendent board and you can get the board, school board on, you're pretty much done. You have the buy-in, and then you have to make sure you have a right plan, because you're going to ask you all the hard questions. And trust me, the hard ones, I'm already addressing these ones for the community I'm going to. So just having and just being honest and not
trying to shyster someone, for lack of a better word, or just saying something that's false. And the one thing about, I think, with our community, with mentors, is you can bring other mentors in from surrounding areas to help with that negotiation.
I think that's one of the things that is special about F.I.R.S.T. is there's a lot of collaborative effort amongst teams to help each other start. It's not too often you see a basketball team or a baseball team or a sports team collaborate. That does happen, but it's more so in F.I.R.S.T. Now, I can tell you the story of how we started our team.
Sure.
Where the new team I'm on is new. It's 6 years old. It's not very new. So my kids grew up wearing the blue and red on Technocats.
Okay.
They were running around with ribbons in their hair. They're 3 little girls, and they've always loved Technocats. But that wasn't their school corporation. We actually live in the Northwestern High School Corporation in Kokomo, Indiana, and it's a neighboring school. And Northwestern had a VEX team. They have some FLL teams and such, but they never had an F.R.S.T. team ever.
Okay.
And so, as my daughters were growing up, the superintendent knew. He and I have talked, and he said, when your daughter's in 9th grade, would you like to start a team with our school? And so he asked me.
So he came to you.
He came to me.
You didn't have to go to him. You kind of already had to buy it.
Because he didn't have a champion. He could have found he could find a teacher, but he didn't have someone that knew what they were doing, that would drive the team and that would know how to do things. So he had an ace in the hole with me being a 14-year mentor on Technocats. So I said, okay, I'll do this, but you must pay the teacher. When you get a teacher, you got to pay him just like a track
That's
coach.
the buy-in again.
Or a tennis coach, and also when we go somewhere, you got to handle the travel. You give us a bus, or if we go to St. Louis, or if we go to Detroit, or whatever, we need mini buses or something, and that's on you guys. And I want to be able to allow my kids to travel on the school bus to go across state lines, and that's always an issue with the school. I don't blame them, but that's an issue with school boards and superintendents. So once he was on board with me, and we had a kind of a gentleman's agreement there, we made a pitch to the school board. It was I think May of the year before we were getting ready to start. So made a pitch, and this is a school board that is in a county with neighboring schools that all have F.R.S.T. teams.
Right.
So they're probably getting pressure already.
Sure.
Why isn't my kid on the F.R.S.T. team? What are those Technocats? What's Panther Tech doing down there? And so there's a little bit of jealousy going on there. So once we started our team, then now we're one of the group in our county to have an F.R.S.T. team, and we're really happy about that. And I think in the next year, I'm there like recruiting pamphlet for families, because there are some skipping of, you can hop to another school in Indiana, but on their pamphlet they said, world-class F.I.R.S.T. robotics team is now at Northwestern High School. It was one of their advertising bullets on their pamphlet. I was pretty proud of that. And we started the team with 10 kids on the team. We went to, I think, 2 regionals last year. Actually, we made it to St. Louis that year. We had a lot of fun. We didn't win much here, but had a lot of fun. And then through the years, we've grown the team a lot.
Okay.
Now we have 30 kids on the team. With I think we have 13 girls and 17 boys.
Nice,
so
almost even.
Almost even.
Great.
Thanks to my daughters, really. They're the ones that went and asked their friends.
Mini champions. Yeah. Mini champions.
So we have a wonderful team, and we have a Fiat Chrysler automotive sponsorship, because we're making a lot of transmissions for FCA and Kokomo. We've got a Haynes International sponsorship, which is a specialty metals company in Kokomo. Then we have all kinds of other sponsorships too. So the kids go for those things, and we have a lot of support in our community now.
So you bridge a little bit about it. You get the buy-off from the school board, and we won't cover this in this interview, but maybe a future interview, if I can get you on the podcast at a later date, is the marketing and then the sponsoring. Because without the money and without sharing the knowledge of the team starting, you really can't get kids on board, right? Because you need kids. Without kids, you can't have a team.
Right.
And then you have to have money to run the team, because bots don't pay for themselves. You have to pay for a bot, right? And in Michigan, we have a great governor, Governor Snyder. Thank you, Governor Snyder, for supporting F.I.R.S.T. Robotics. He helps support, and the state gives us a little bit of money to start, and then it's up to us to take that over. But they help to jumpstart it, and then it's up to us to run with it. So it's kind of cool there. But the sponsorships and the money to get that team started, it's not easy, it's not cheap, but it's something that you can build. You don't have to spend $30,000 on a robot, and I don't think anyone really does. I think they're anywhere from like 5 to maybe 12, depending on how fancy you get. But those first years are, let's get a solid drivetrain, and then we do one little thing, and then you build from that, and you build from that, and you build from that. So,
so speaking of hardware and drivetrain, and I think most rookies do a good job with this area because they do depend on the kit of parts chassis that we're very proud of because we provide that to F.I.R.S.T, and then F.I.R.S.T provides it to the teams. So I would recommend any rookie to stick with the kit of parts chassis drivetrain because
that's a tip. Listen, that's a tip.
It is a simple chassis. It's okay. It's what everybody else uses who are new, but within 2 days it's done. You don't have to worry about going sourcing wheels and sourcing gears.
No, it's all there. You can start on the next part. Yeah.
So you can have it driving on like Saturday night or Sunday after kickoff. And you can be thinking about, how do we pick up these balls? Or how do we score that gear?
Start the brainstorming of the next aspect.
And I think that's something that sometimes teams get lost on, that having not only the advantage of having something that's simple and it works, but it's done quickly.
Right. And that's what that kit of parts is for, is to jumpstart that team, get them going so they could start their, problem solving and taking and analyzing the game, which this year's game is, I think, more robust than any game I think I've seen from F.I.R.S.T. There's so many different aspects. We have pilots up at airships now, so we got more bigger drive teams, which is good because more kids get put into that play. But I think this is just another level that F.I.R.S.T is reaching. So I can't wait. I mean, I want to see the championships, but I can't wait to see what the next one's going to be. And that's one good thing about F.I.R.S.T is every year it's a different game. So different problem solving, different aspects of the game, different geometry you have to use or mathematics you have to use to figure out the KPA for the shooting, to figure out, I need 3 balls on top, I need 9 on the bottom, all that math's running, and that gets all those kids into those STEM and the first principles and gets going, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's amazing. So I won't take up too much more of your time. This guy's a really busy guy. So I thank you for your time, not meeting me once but twice this weekend. And we look forward to hearing from you again. I'll get you on the podcast at a later date.
Super.
But thank you, Andy, for your time.
Thanks, Pete.
Once again, I'd like to thank Andy Baker from AndyMark for giving me his time at a event where he had a booth and he took himself away from that booth just to give us an interview. So thank you, Andy, for that. And with that ends this episode of the RoboZone Podcast for May 2nd, which is a Tuesday. Worlds is done. We have world champions. Congratulations to those teams. Can't wait to interview in the near future. Please subscribe to the podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes. Just search for RoboZone Podcast. Don't forget, we have a YouTube channel. It's RoboZone TV. Look that up on YouTube. A lot of the video that I took from this last weekend, including some updates where I just had a camera in my hand and I did the best I could. All that funny stuff is out there on YouTube. Just look for RoboZone TV. In addition, I did chaperone and was at Robo Prom. And let me tell you, that was a story in itself, and I'll save that one for the next podcast. So for the RoboZone Podcast, I am Pete Ekman. Thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe. Look out on RoboZone TV for YouTube, and we'll see you on the next episode.
The RoboZone Podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world. Thanks for listening to the RoboZone Podcast with your host, Pete Ekman. Find us online at RoboZoneTV.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.